Boom, baby. There we go. Yeah. That's how to do your day. You know, you can just never be taken down. Thank you. Who's next? I'll tell you what, we won't get fooled again, but man, we always seem to. So what's happening, man? Hello, tribe. Good to see you. Peace. How's it going? Prosperity. Live long, prosper. You're all looking beautiful. Groovy spirits in here. I'm telling you, the vibe is good. And welcome, favor, BOSTO. Be of service to one another. I'll tell you what, that is the K. Full restoration and happy birthday and anniversary if you're having one. So welcome. Let me get the mic here. So what's up? It's Thursday, and it's always good to see everybody. Hey, Posey. Hey, Nina the Mystic, Gilbert, Michelle, Peter. Who else is all in here? Wendy. And Wendy had stormy eyes that flashed at the sound. The Association. Anyway, good to see you. So, Jay, what's up? Soul's Eye Jules, peace. Gaza from down under. How you doing? Let's see. Bonnie, good to see you. Lost in Space. Hello. David Castle and Cheryl. And so anyway, world's still here. Changes all the time. Light is about. Never have a doubt. Be strong and abound, and they'll never be able to bring you down. So there you go. That was free. Hey, Jenna, good to see you. Red Wolf Ranch, good to see you. What's up? Hope, how you doing? Thank you for the email. Got lots of emails. Appreciate it. This has been a interesting week. Speaking of which, tonight over on the Steiger Perspective, artistfirst.com, tune in 10 p.m. Eastern. Find your time zone, 8 p.m. my time zone. Very controversial subject. Actually, looks like it'll actually put you on a list. Going to talk about what happened on November 3rd, 2020, and how they did it, how it happened. So tune in, guarantee it. It'll be good. Hey, Darth, what's up? Peace. Let's see what else is happening. Hey, is that BBD 61? Prayers work wonders. Prayer is a form of meditation. I would have to agree with it. Hey, Carolyn, what's up? Boots on the ground, Jargo, hello. Loretta, good to see you. So tomorrow is card day. I've already gotten people emailing. So it's really becoming, and I'm so glad to see that other channels are doing it. You know, and our Friday panel is just, I'm telling you, spooky how accurate it is. No, and actually there's science behind that. Remember, modern science is just outdated magic. They'll figure it out, you know, eventually. So got my been doing my EMF, making sure that, you know, the radiation isn't you know, this is, you can put this around you. I got enough sugarite around here that you would think that there's a small mine around here. And it really does work. I have to say that. It really does. See when it does get hot. It's hot outside my area of influence, but yeah, everybody should have one. You know, if all of a sudden goes off, you're going, what the heck? Is that energy weapon they're talking about? Holy crap. Excuse me. So, yeah. Oh, I forgot. Yeah. Everybody, just do the virtual hug. Come on. It's tense out there. And, my little guy, co-pilot, actually at time, it's his benign, beautiful demeanor that never changes, that actually drives the energy. And of course, when you have one of the master crystals, this is from the crystal queen herself, Karen, over in the link is on below. And then when you have, let's see, y'all all know Sanji. Yeah, Sanji's always, he's definitely the lookout guy. He's always riding in the front. And so, yeah, got enough crystals around here that I could rebuild Egypt, I think. And then got this recently. This is the Greek goddess. Someone sent me this. I have to read it. This is Fortuna. She is the Roman goddess of fortune, chance, and prosperity, and one of the most popular Roman deities during the period of Servius Tullius. She was the Roman adaptation of the Greek goddess of fortune, Tyche. Other names of Fortuna were Primiengia, Vitalis, Respicians, and she is usually portrayed standing, blindfolded, wearing a rich dress, holding either a cornucopia, a rudder, ball, or wheel of fortune. Person who sent this to me, the cornucopia is filled with gold coins, it looks like. Anyway, so there we go. The energy is abundant. Yeah, it is. So someone says, what is this symbol that they saw Trina and I wearing? You can get these on Amazon, by the way. And I have to say, I've tried it out myself and I highly recommend it. These are powerful amulets. This is the Antakarana. And I got to tell you, I've been into this now for almost 2 weeks and got to say, something to it. Someone said, what's the t-shirt? The t-shirt says, some see the the cup as half full, half empty. Technically, the cup is always full. Doesn't matter what's in the cup. The glass is always full. It's either filled with air or it's filled half with fluid. So, it's all how you look at things. Let's see. Seeing smiling, smoking, and smudging. There we go. I like that. Karen Lynn, I knew a person way back when. Such fond memories. Her name was Karen. So, hey, Trina, what's up? So good to see you, hon. Let's see, what else is it? Raven, Kiefer, good to see you. So anyway, Susie Q, right back at you. That's so cool. So yeah, these are I gotta tell you, it's to each his own, right? But I always like to go by experience. I can talk about chocolate, but if you've never tasted chocolate, if you've never smelled chocolate, you would have no idea why I'm near orgasmic enrapture pleasure when I think about chocolate. I mean, if you never saw it, never tasted it, didn't even know what it was, I would look like I was out, way out. But to those of you who are chocolate connoisseurs, the chocolatiers are like the gods. Seriously. You meet a good chocolatier, I mean, that's an alchemist. That's what it is. But I'll tell you what, when you get to that like ninth level master, I mean, they can make chocolate that's only meant for the lips of a goddess and then a god. And I'm a god. So anyway. Now everybody wants some chocolate, don't you? You can smell it. Actually, I just did an experiment there. This is the power that this community has when you get people that really begin to, as much of the reading we're doing here, when we begin to express that which we already possess and exercise it. Yeah, baby, that's all I got to tell you. Julianne makes chocolates. You know that I would not doubt that at all. I mean, chocolate is the best. I mean, Rennie knows this. She sends me chocolate all the time. And, you know, we talk about it in emails. We've talked about it for years, back and forth, because she sends me some of the best chocolate. And, it's, yeah. So I really got off on a tangent. Anyway. What else is going on? Been a vegetarian. I'm allowed to eat lots and lots of chocolate. Yep, that's what I'm talking about, Gaza. That's what I'm talking about. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. That's the way. Do it. Yeah, anyway. Already eating chocolate pudding. Maria, that's not fair, because I love chocolate pudding. I think that is, and when you think about pudding, you have to, when I lived in Burnett Balin, it was the state home for abused children. Anyway, we went up to camp each year, up to Camp Isle, and Mrs. Miller, who was the cook, and I mean, when you've got like 300 kids plus staff, etc., the meals are just like they were great. But she could make banana pudding, with the vanilla wafers in there, and of course the bananas. And oh man, I want to tell you, well, that's the show, because I'm going to go and eat now. I mean, yeah. Jeez. So I often wonder, do spirits taste chocolate? Can they taste? Can they smell? How do they hear? How do they, those are the things that I'm thinking about. Death is just a release. When you realize what's going on, it's just a release. And so, I write to people all the time to ask me, and I say, I learned something, that what we have been taught, and whatever your religious beliefs are, and those who haven't none, you always end up forming some sort of image of what the other side looks like. I contend it's beyond any of our wildest imaginations. And so I kind of look at it like this. I would, whatever time I'm here, let's say 100 years. I'm not confessing that, but I'm just saying, I have a sense that where I'm going, there is no time. As far as what time is perceived here, there can't be. There is the river of time, or what I would call a mural, but I think we can look at it any time and we see time. Time's a river, not held by the mere precepts of mortal men. But I contend that I think in length of time, we're over there much more longer. Anyway, there we go. So I thought today we'd kind of explore a few things. Someone asked me about some pictures of the sun. Let me know what you're talking about specifically, and I'll pull that up. But I found this, and it's still one of those fascinating um, things that, and I understand this has been witnessed here recently. This is probably one of the best captures. I don't even think that they are around anymore. But you can see that is a ship. This is our sun. You can see the ship is taking in direct, raw plasma. I don't know what you want to call it. But this is a real thing. And I actually have the video of this, and I'll have to go and get it. But I wanted to show people there are things, and you can see the ship here. You can see the one that's facing the sun, and you can see the back side of the ship right here. You can see the intake valve, that how it's pulling directly off of the coronosphere. I mean, that's just raw plasma, or, you know, what we would call coronal matter. Again, closer, and you can see clearly the defined definition of this ship. It's a technology beyond our capability. You can see how the stream is now beginning to deplete as the intake valve begins to close. I mean, it's wild, baby. There's the back side of the ship. This is one of the more fascinating pictures I've ever came across. Here it is when we take out and compensate the gamma. You can see there's the ship. It's big. I mean, it's massive, bigger than the Earth. Getting detailed, close pictures of actually how this intake is. There is another picture of it, very more distinct in a different color spectrum. Anyway, there you go. Always fun to look back on those things and go, you know, uh, there's more things to heaven and earth than what we perceive it to be. Yeah. I mean, the technology to get next to a star like ours, and ours is a mid-size yellow dwarf, excuse me, is amazing. And if you think about it, if you're traveling the cosmos, these fueling stations, they're just like a 7-Eleven, you know. You told them whatever you want to do. You know, it's a gas station. Yeah, who knows what else they're doing, but that's some really interesting technology. That's the only thing. What's the bubble looking thing? Not sure what you mean, Bonnie. Yep, things are happening. That's all I got to say. Things are happening. Ships the size of Earth and bigger. You know, there is a hypothesis that says that the Earth is, in fact, meets all the definitions for a spaceship. We have this puny idea by what we see, the streaks in the sky and the saucers and what have you, but we never stop to understand that this planet is, in fact, a spaceship. It's self-contained. It's moving through space at a tremendous speed. It's caught into a gravitational pull of our star. But, you know, the one thing that populates the cosmos the most, wandering stars. They're called Nibiru. That's what that means. Nibiru means wandering star. In fact, the cosmos are absolutely littered with these rogue planets. So, yeah. And, you know, ours is, in fact, a spaceship. I mean, what else does a spaceship do? It allows you to be in an environment that you can thrive in, live in, and move through the vacuum of space, or what is more accurately, the womb of space. Space is the amniotic fluid of the universe. And within that amniotic fluid, we have stars, we have planets, we have moons, we have, you know, the whole bit. So, Dark City, Mad Cow. Yeah, that's a good movie. If anyone ever wants that, that's really a good movie. What do they call it? Is it called The Changing? And they start changing, they start doing the chant, and all of us, we don't know our memories. We think we got memories, but even modern science has proven that the brain can be conditioned to remove all memories. And then I'm going to do a whole detailed show on this, the tulpas. There is a movie out. I would suggest, if you want to, if you have Netflix or whatever, watch The Empty Man. Now that is a movie that is, my wife said, all right, you know, and she could tell right from the beginning. She says, oh, she says, this is one of your movies. And she was right. She's Nina says she's watching The Alienist. Yeah. So check out, if you watch the movie Empty Man, it's one of those that it's great mind candy. It really is. And it's what's so weird about it. I just picked this up. Lynn and I were just relaxing, you know, side by side. And I said, well, let's watch a movie. And so went in and I found this movie, and it absolutely stunned me because I was sitting there slack-jawed going, and she goes, what's up? I said, they're teaching about thought forms. She says, yeah, what the hell's a thought form? And so I told her about the shows that I've been doing and how we've been going through a number of books, how to create a servitor. A servitor is a thought form that, when given the proper amount and direct energy of concentration, and particularly by groups, into a single entity, a tulpa, that tulpa will come alive. That tulpa will have memories as far as the group or individual gives it. That tulpa will look like an actual human being. And then you take the golem, which the Israelites, taking the science from the Egyptians, and the Egyptians were taught this primarily from the Mesopotamians, Babylonians specifically, in the creation of how, if you want to follow the story of Enki. And what's interesting about the story of Enki, Enki is more of a prominent god than what we realize, because Enki is the one name that we can predate before the Sumerians. The Tellus people, which came out of the Indus Valley, which predated the Sumerians, where the Sumerians looked like they got their language, there is within that culture Enki. Isn't that odd? We don't find Jehovah. We don't find Muhammad. We don't find Kali. We don't find any of them there mentioned, but we do find Enki. But what's even stranger is the fact that this was very well known. Loretta says a tulpa sounds like a nice hat. It's kind of interesting. Yeah. So anyway, what the movie was focusing in on was that there was a guy who got a group going. And of course, they always go off into the tangents, you know. But if you can keep the balance, right, the clarity, see, that's all ties in. That when you have the clarity of thought and focus of dedicated individuals who have reached that maturity of understanding that there is more to life than just what we understand. We are gods, goddesses. We create life all the time. We just don't understand it in the same pretext of an actual creation. We create things. We create life. And if we fall our concentration of a single thought through a single vibration, through a single hum, and we begin to focus that thought and we begin to build our tulpa, we literally can build, create out of air, out of the ether, an actual living human being. Now, the thing that we know about tulpas and golems, they have no souls. They have no spirit. They're matter merely charged by what we give them. Isn't that weird? That's what we're talking about. And when you know, sigils, symbols are key. They're key communication. They say of the alien ships that have crashed, been brought down, that the primary language of those outside inner Earth, which would be out of Earth, use symbology in order to communicate, because a symbol can represent a single thought or it can represent a collective of a thought. So what is my email? It's right there in the description, but it's steigerrwayne@gmail.com. So, someone says Laura says she's been having this discussion with her son since 3 a.m. That's a deep conversation. So there is so much. I mean, we're going to get more into this because it's all coming about because we're really going to need to create two paws. I believe it can be done. They've done it over in the Eastern world. Native Americans have been creating tool paws. They know all about it. The tool paw is different than the skinwalker, but they have a similarity in how they come about. Now, skinwalkers are just, you don't want, if you believe as to the Native American culture, and I do respect that culture greatly, much more over a white man's culture, is that there are beings that can in fact be created. I contend that in the spirit realm, they're unlimited. I mean, we're talking into the well, let's see, after trillion, you have, what is the next one? Is it quadzillion, a zillion? There's more spirits, and spirits are drawn to planets that have active life, like Earth. And there are other Earths, there are others out there. And when gods like us get together and we create these thought forms, and the thought forms then begin to take on the essence of personality. I name mine. Now, when they fulfill their mission, I give them the choice that they can go on or they can stick with me. It's really up to them because they are actually life forms. You and I are nothing more than a thought form. We really are. It's all we are. Someone came up with this design. Whether you want to believe in natural selection or in the chaos theory, but somehow or another, sentient came into these forms. Someone thought about that. There was an architect or architectus, however the term may be, that brought this about. Yeah, weird, isn't it? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about. So I want to get into what we have here left. Carol said they didn't teach that in catechism class. Nope. But, isn't it interesting, though, Carol, when you look at what they were teaching, you see the reason why Jesus exists is that people are taught, they're taught how to put their energy into the tool paw, known as the Savior. It's true. People going, what the hell are you talking about, Steiger? But no, it's very true. Listen, the gods only exist because we have the ability that we continue to give the energy to them. It's just the way it is. But that's what they teach, and it is taught into every religion. Every religion has to give you a tool paw in order to let it to continue to exist. Just a different way of looking at things and interpreting things. Carol, yeah. The album by Grand Styx, Grand Illusion. Yeah. That was a damn good concert. I remember when I saw them. I was living in St. Louis, down in Kiel Auditorium. Kick-ass band. That's all I got to say. Well, thank you, Belanca. Yeah, hit the like button if y'all like, Robert V is in the house. Blazing River, how you doing? Good to see you. Hey, Mother Nature, peace, baby. Love the necklace. Well, thank you. What does the shirt say? The shirt says, and as he pulls down, he says, the shirt says, technically, the glass is completely full. Whether you want to see it half full of water, half full of air, doesn't matter. It's always full, even when it seems empty. So, as Quicksilver Messenger says, take another hit of fresh air. All right, so let's get into something. I have been wanting to get into this, and today offered the perfect opportunity. This is just a fascinating freaking book. That's all I got to say. This is the book of Baphomet, and y'all are just it's just so cool because it gives a different story. By the way, this is Mark Drake. We're going to be talking about Ashtroth, Prince of Hell. But what I want to get into is the story. And so this is how the whole thing came into existence. And maybe I ought to give the respect to Baphomet. Baphomet, now this is the invocation. Baphomet, give me the sign of the open eye. Octaran rays shine. Double-coiled star form snake. Time-traveling fourfold alphabet of ecstasy. You are the tree and the snake. We are the children of the trees. Embedded actions. You raise us towards the sun and the moon, greatest of all gods. Unfolding, opening, pouring forth upon the world with torrents of fire, sail of undifferentiated possibility, such beauty, all full to behold, all devourer, all begetter, winged angel of life, male and female conjoined, I see myself, oh my God, in your serpentine dance, I see you, oh my God, ancient, new, deep space, you rest. Your language speaks from star and stone. Loving to the very heart of the earth, you make a road for the spirit to pass over. Waving the wand, drumming pulse of creation and obliteration. Breathing easily. Wide awake to the world begetter, all paths lead to your hearth, touching hands. Root of all things, fresh as the day is born. Bringer of death and decay, sleep and birth, and love growing perfection. Branches made of air point to the sky, all-pervading desire opening as love. Transformer and transgressor doing magic. Axis of sky and land and sea, and every blade of grass, every day's eye. Weaver of magic, folded legs, forked lightning that quickens all matter, creating laughter anew. So this is the story of creation from Baphomet's point of view. You're going to love this. The Song of Life. The stars are but thistles in the waste, pregnant seed heads that burst, releasing their strange cargo into vast space. From the heart of the stars, drifting outwards from supernovae, and the dull trails of brown dwarfs, emerging the elements, forged in the fusion fires of titanic nuclear furnaces, as the ancient stars dwindled, expanded, and explode. They scattered new matter through the cosmos. From this nuclear synthesis, hydrogen begat helium. Helium begat carbon. Carbon begat oxygen. Stars, a little more massive than our sun, form iron cores by this process. Heavier elements are a job for flaming orbs, orders of magnitude bigger, where gold and lead are liberated from the alchemy of the supernova and smear across the sky in thunderous detonations. Such is the stuff that we are made of. From whale to woodlouse, our bodies quite literally come from the core of the stars. The vast particulate pinnacle from which our earth was made was once a cloud of such star stuff. The cloud thickened, gathered, and central portion of this disk, which was at first over 3 light years in diameter. Now, this is a key thing. This is what Earth was. So a light year is 6 trillion miles. Since the time of the modern age, year zero, to 2021, the Earth has traveled approximately 1.1 light years. Isn't that fascinating? Anyway, folded up, dense, and hot. Gravity, that love of mass for mass, pulled the center tighter together until it ignited. Our sun turned on. The negative entropy from the event, this new massive body at the heart of the swirling cloud, began to organize and rest. Less massive regions of stellar dust coalesced. Some almost became large enough to ignite, which would have produced a binary star system. But in the end, Jupiter couldn't get it together to become another sun. The rest settled down to condense and cool. The planets formed. Earth was new. In the tumult of the new solar system, a planet, perhaps as large as Mars, collided with our world. This chance blow set the Earth spinning. It was this act of great violence that gave us the axis Mundi and our world's eccentric 23-degree inclination of the ecliptic. The giant impact distorted early Earth into a wobbling egg of molten fire. The core of the impactor spiraled down and was absorbed into the heart of early Earth. Rocky fragments from the blast careened into space. Coal conglomerated and became, perhaps in as little as a year, our moon. Still shredding heat from its creation, the depths of our planet thrashed around in like angry dragons. Volcanic eruptions were frequent. The wild spinning of the world, each rotation, get this, lasted 6 hours, causing rapid changes in temperature. The newly acquired moon was much nearer, a vast orb capable of pulling the tides hundreds of feet into the air. As the gravitational pull of our satellite swept around the Earth, its strength was sufficient to ripple the rocks of the newly solid crust, pulling them, plastic and pallet, upwards. Some of the water had perhaps derived as comets, but whatever its origin, the Earth, as it cooled, was now covered with a turbulent sea. Islands of volcanic tips peeped above the wasteland, belching sulfurous fumes into the atmosphere. This is a red world. Smog clouds the sky, orange tinge with methane green. These clouds are reflected in the red water in which iron is dissolved. Meteors still strike the surface of this world, although the late heavy bombardment is mercifully over. Perhaps it is riding on these wandering shooting stars that life arrives from a cosmic panspermia. If so, that simply pushes the negativity of organic systems away from our world to another distant planet, perhaps one with much the same conditions as ours. Now, the extraterrestrial actors are all assembled, players ready to perform their part. Within those molten seas, the eons old elements made from the heart of long forgotten stars waited. All that was needed was an easy source of energy. Life is implicit in chemistry as geometry is in mathematics. There need be not, excuse me, there need be no outside God, no prime mover of darkness of the depths. 13.7 billion years after the universe appeared to have begun, 4.5 billion years later, our Earth began to form, and 3.9 billion years ago, the chemistry of life began to wake up. This was not life based on the energy of the sun, but rather in the arcane depths of the oceans. Life began in Atlantis. Once upon a time, cellular life began. The most likely place was for this lurked beneath the waves, around one of those hydrothermal vents we now describe as extreme environments. Within the deposit materials, bubbles in the rock exist that are just the right size for the rich soup of organic chemistry to form itself into the internal components of a system of self-replicating cells. All it took was the arrival of nice costumes to wear, and the cell contents could move out of their green room onto the stage of the big, wide world. The wild primordial sea contains some very special zones, places where the slow movement of the Earth's crust create a new seabed from the planet's mantle, rather than the more violent regions of buckling and subduction from which rise up the jagged teeths of new mountains. These are comparatively gentle areas driven by tectonic power. These places are species of hydrothermal vents, but they are not the vigorous black smokers repeatedly crumbling and reforming towers spewing boiling metal sulfites into the sea. Instead, these more sedate formations are generated by the freshly exposed rocks from the mantle reacts with the seawater. The water bubbles through the fresh rock and becomes one with it. Intricate and complex hydroxide minerals are created. These vents produce the rock we call serpentine. With all markings like scales, the signature of life has a stone snake at its heart. As the rock and seawater intertwine, the rock fractures, bubbles, breaks. More water can now react with deeper surfaces of the mantle. Gradually, these water-soaked rocks are pulled down into the deep, fiery earth. In this way, water is pumped down into the superheated depths of the planet, driving the convection currents in the magma of our world. The union of water and fire churns up the seas and maintains the rhythmic disquilibrity of the whole earth. Heat is also released by this reaction. Gentle warmth in comparison of the 400 degrees centigrade of your average black smoker vent. A primal alchemist. The serpentine vent's chemistry splits the seawater, liberating hydrogen as well as heat and creating a redox cloud of elements: carbon dioxide, methane, nitrogen, ammonia, scavenged from the trace elements in seawater. If you want your creation to start with a cauldron of primeval soup, then here it is. All these chemicals and heat burst upwards from the rock. They spread out over the fresh ocean floor that is rising up from the mantle. As they grow, the bubbling gases create a lattice of tiny chambers within the rock. These are alkaline palaces of carbonites, ice-white towers rising from the seabed. There is no smoke apparent from the filigree chimneys of these rocks. Their emissions are colorless. But year on year, these citadels build themselves, reaching heights in excess of 60 meters, and the activity at such vents can last for tens of thousands of years. And in this honeycomb of microscopic tubes and cells, that life first began. It all started with alchemy. The mixture of molecules and spheres of rocks creating bubbles separated from their environment. The first magic circles. These rooms separated from each other within thin aggregate walls and where life builds itself. Held in these tiny vessels, the basic chemical reactions that underpin all metabolism in the world could begin. Hydrogen gas seeping up from the rocks, a rare source of free energy in our world, was captured and became incorporated into chemical reactions that are spontaneous and inevitable. Gradually, the vent chambers grew tens of thousands of space cycles, the reactions which would give rise to organic molecules, to long polymers. The Ouroboros of chemistry deposited longer and longer molecules in those minuscule wombs. Some would squeeze into the cells nearby, pumped about by the warm water circulating through the chalky citadels. Others would lurk, motionless, in their chambers, coiling and recoiling. Chemical reactions proliferated in complexity. Excuse me. The intricate reaction known as citric acid or the Krebs cycle emerges from these gyrating permutations. This is the key reaction of biology, a great worm of chemistry encircling the base of the tree of life, essential to both aerobic and anaerobic organisms, essential to cells that are simple and those that are complex, swirling away in those tiny chambers, driven by free lunch of hydrogen and comforted by the chemically diverse yet physically secure environment of the serpentine vents. This reaction became the core around which more elaborate processes developed, a cascade of chemonosis, the flow of ions across the membranes of those ancient protocells gives rise to the tendency, triphosphate, ATP, the fundamental unit of energy which all life requires. Fed by the ATP, the citric acid serpent spins, generating the essential components of biology. Chemistry is what we were, and chemistry is what we are. As ATP accumulated, the Krebs cycle was able to generate a bewildering range of molecules. Long polymer snakes arose in increasingly complexity until, in those warm hideaways, a molecule formed that could not only produce protein, but could evolve. In the biological sense, by encoding information and being acted upon by natural selection, our primordial snake now has memory, coded into pairs of amino acids. RNA appeared first, a free-form beat poet making it up on the spot. Sometimes turning out dross, other times golden lines, much in demand. It took the reliability of memory of DNA, the promoter of our drama, to start the negative entropy escalation away from the total chaos towards the start of a greater order. Our actors are on the stage and have their lines ready. Reading off the sequence of DNA by RNA constituted the play. The script is spoken. The pairs of base reproduce, mutate, and drift, mixing the letters A, G, T, C into the code. These codes form words, phrases, sentences, and eventually a whole language of chemical structure. Each sequence defines the emergence of amino acids and thus proteins. Proteins fold up into structures. They are the enzymes that the catalyst further complex reactions. They are the glue sticking together structures that have arisen in the protocell. They carry data, signals of knowledge. They formulate the anatomy and function of all that lives. Under hundreds of meters of sea, these wheels within wheels of chemical ingenuity thrive, fed by the interaction of oceanic water and water fiery rocks. The hatchery of the serpentine vents contains the microcosm of what is to come. Chemical cycles, what we call life, emerges to thrive, interact, and persist. This process, darkly hidden in the belly of the sea, is where we come from. In all the billions of years that have passed, these processes remain unchanged. The world of men and of these arcane life forms is rooted in identical nest of chemical sequences as well. As unavoidable as gravity, life begins for no other reason than it must. Thus, the inevitable, invariable code of life came into being. Far above the surface of our world, the second atmosphere cocooned the planet. Carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and water vapors occluded the sun, rendering its light pale and yellow. Deep under the sea, life was still attached to the umbilical cord of the serpentine vents, but this was about to change. The roulette of natural selection fell favorably for one group of cells that were able to move. The serpentine vents in the ancient oceans would eventually fail, choked and dying, cut off from their nourishing hydrogen. Some of the cells discovered ways of creating their own cell walls from their hydrophilic lipids. These organically produced capsules allowed those intrepid adventurers to set sail through the primordial oceans, seeds cast out, seeking for new vents upon which they might fall and set up home. Sometimes these sails would find themselves arriving in places where nourishment for their chemical cycles could be drawn from the rocks in which they lodged. For some, these habitats were ones in the shallow seas, alternately exposed and submerged as the gigantic moon swept around in her orbit. Sometimes food was scarce. These early creatures were left high and dry and hungry, but these cells possessed, implicated in their chemistry, the potential to produce intricate machinery that might use light particles to initiate the production of chemical energy. With continuing to lunch on hydrogen sulfide from volcanic vents, they began to generate their own organic matter from atmospheric carbon dioxide. As the sea level dropped around these colonies of the cyanobacteria bacteria, so they would switch on a backup from a photosynthesis to nourish themselves. Harvesting the light of the Precambrian sun, they could continue to make ADP, unable to grow but still alive. They would wait until the richness of the hydrothermal vents became available once more. But what if the vents never returned? The levels of ultraviolet radiation reaching the surface of Earth during those days was far in excess of what we know today. Unchecked, the light-powered photosynthesis would have damaged the cells with electrons bouncing around, wreaking havoc on the ancient DNA code. The solution seems to have come from crystals. Manganese was common in the ancient seas, and crystals of this metal interjected within the primitive photosynthetic language of the carbonbacteria prevented cellular damage. We're crystalline beings, folks. How such a crystal became wedged into the system is unknown. Perhaps the collapse of a cliff hurling debris widely about, or some more mysterious process. But however it happened, charged by the sun's rays, these tiny crystals allowed those organisms to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. The crystalline jewels became incorporated into the cells, collapsed in the protein settings of new life forms. Free from the hydrothermal vents, new pillars of life, the stratomolites squatting in the warm shallows began to change our world. For the first time, the chemical process we call life would remake the composition of the atmosphere, spewing out a gas that would protect later generations from the harsh ultraviolet radiation. This gas, over millions of years, poured into the sky. The chloroplast and the stratomolites flourished. The blue atmosphere and green earth had begun. Life breathed oxygen into the heavens. I'm going to stop there. So again, this is the book Baphomet. What we have in store later on is one of the most fascinating interpretations. This is a fabulous book. I don't have it on PDF. This is the Kindle version. I did order my copy because when I started reading it on Kindle, I said, oh, I got to have it. It's a fantastic read, folks. It really is. It's one of those things that, again, it's great mind coitus, because you go, huh, all right, I know that, I see that. And the process that they're explaining here, you've got to admit, this is life. If there's another planet out there that has life on it, it's gone through the same chemical synthesis process that we got here. And because, folks, listen, let's just be honest with ourselves. We love the religion. We love all the pomp and et cetera, et cetera. We love what their ideas were. But, science just tries to make it cold and dark, and no God came here and formed anything out of the ground. However, if the ground already had life within it, intelligent life, then a higher intelligence would be able to easily manipulate the core element. I mean, seriously, folks, do you really think that, the ankle bone's connected to the leg bone, and then I made, no. It's fascinating when you think about how these bodies came about. And that's what this book really gets into. And we're going to get into it. We may end up reading the whole thing because it's something that every person needs. It's like the Liber Lilith, Deborah. Hey, you're welcome, Deborah Truax. Warrior Goddess. I love that. Lynn Earthling says crop circles. Oh, that's part of it. Okay. Are showing the divine feminine. How interesting. I could see that. Yeah. Hey, Mother. Thank you, Mother Nature. It is. It's a freaking far out. I mean, and the thing about why did the Knights Templar have Baphomet as their emblem? That was what led them in their quest. Baphomet, you're a fine girl. You're a good wife. You would be. Yeah. So anyway. All right. That's all I got to say. Yeah. Baphomet, she's a wild partier. I love the gal. I tell you, go to her place and I guarantee she picks up the tab every time, and she's got some of the most primo smoke. I'm just telling you, she just says, relax. Hey, Coyote Prophet, what's up? Who's the author? Nikki Ward and Julian Vayne, Vayne. So anyway, there we go. All right. Hey, folks, I'm going to check out, and check me out tonight. I'll check you out if you check me out. Yeah. Over at Artist First, 10 p.m. Eastern. Going to be an interesting show. It'll put me on a list, probably already on the list, so who cares? Hey, Peter West, what's happening? And switch to decaf tea. No way, no way. You know, what did the song is, you know, I got the power. Boom, 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 boom. That's all I got to say. You see, you put up this symbol around your house, you just print it off, put it up on walls. It literally knocks the fuck out of all negative energy. I'm just telling you, it does. And even when it tries to enter in, it freaking obliterates it. I don't know why. I have an idea why, but anyway. So bump, bump. All right. So I'm going to go, man. See y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow's card day. Love the panel. I saw that Miss Jenny is doing live shows. Way to go, Jennifer. Love it, love it, love it. Nina does her shows, and bum, 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 bum. So who else got going in? And of course, Amber, and we got Steve Zerlock, and he has this. So we got a groovy group, and I think the Andromeda 7, and then we got Pure Love Ascension doing it. So it's all there, man. We're just all in the groove. So, all right, folks, see you tomorrow. Have a great one. Keep smiling. Don't let them bring you down.